The Easter Bunny was extremely generous this year and gave us critical and box office success Sinners. Ryan Coogler's cinematic masterpiece featuring Michael B. Jordan ×2 was rated 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the Oscar nomination rumors have been shoved down our throats ever since. But I wasn't interested. You guys know I'm not mainstream. I like indie films like Wicked. Honestly, I saw the poster in the tube station and just assumed it was another Marvel movie. Why? I don't know. Is Michael B. Jordan even part of the Marvel universe? He is! There we go. Good to know that this one is still in somewhat good shape. The blockbuster vibe I got from the poster wasn't inspiring to me, and so I just moved on with my life. That is, until my birthday brunch came along. Yeah, it was my birthday. I turned 32. It was very amazing. Thank you for asking. At said birthday brunch, one of my friends could not stop raving about Sinners. So, my flame of curiosity was lit. But it was only a small flickering, as this particular friend from time to time enjoys a little Twilight binge. Which, no judgment, girl. I'm just not a vampire girly. Edward doesn't do it for me. Team Jacob all the way. No, not even. And also not the dad, you pervs. Anyway, I'm getting off track. What I was trying to say is that I was still not that bothered about watching Sinners until my friend said these 6 magical words. It's kind of like a musical.
It's kind of like a musical.
I'm sorry, what? I have to go. But you didn't finish your... Okay, yeah, I'll get the bill, yeah. A little birthday treat, I guess. Fast forward to the woman that I am today. A woman who has not seen Sinners once, but twice. And that was largely due to the fact that I needed subtitles to understand that thick Southern American accent. But it also gave me ample opportunity to really examine my Twilight-loving friend's statement. Is Sinners a movie musical? And my answer is... yes. Sort of. Let me explain. But first, let's take a moment to talk about BetterSleep, the paid partner of today's video. Now, if you're one of the first 100 subscribers of this YouTube channel, you might remember that at some point in time, I actually left London and moved back home to Belgium. Like anything in life, this was due to a multitude of reasons, but a big factor in that decision was the fact that I was struggling to sleep and couldn't access the help I needed here in London. I particularly struggled with a lot of anxiety surrounding falling asleep, I couldn't not focus on it, if that makes sense. And the worse I slept, the more exhausted I got and the more severe that anxiety became. I wish I would have known about BetterSleep back then. BetterSleep is one of the top-rated sleep apps that can help you fall asleep faster and wake up more energized. They have a whole library of sounds to fall asleep to. White noise, ASMR, nature noises, you name it, they've got it. I myself am a bit more of a yoga girly, so I particularly enjoyed the guided meditations. And let me tell you, they're not exclusive to bedtime. I found the 1-minute grounding meditation specifically to be a very useful tool to reset, say when I'm filming a self-tape for the 5th time because I'm stuck in hyper-perfectionist mode. It has loads of useful tips on how to create the perfect bedtime routine, you can track your sleep, and to top it all off, it offers meditations and bedtime stories in multiple languages for us non-native English folks. Nothing derails your journey to sleepland more than not understanding the meaning of a word. Gazing at the stars, and after a quick bibble, she went on to have some... Bibble? What's a bibble? Do they mean Bible? Bubble? Babble? Bip, bop, 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 up to the top, slip and slide and ride that red... Yeah, this isn't working. Over 65 million people are already using it, including me, so why not take advantage of this 7-day free trial of BetterSleep using my link? You can see for yourself if it helps you get some better sleep. Thank you, BetterSleep. Okay, to start our thorough examination of whether or not Sinners can be considered a musical, we'll go through the film song by song. Obviously, we're not going to talk about all of the background music, even though it's gorgeous. We're just going to talk about the songs where characters are singing. So we'll go through it song by song. Straight away, we get our overture of a children's choir singing This Little Light of Mine. Just a little ditty to establish the religious theme of this film, some wholesomeness to mislead us, to then jolt us right out of our seats with these flashbacks of what Sammy just survived. Lovely stuff, but definitely not something that would necessarily put Sinners in the musical theater category. Is this better? It's kind of cute. Why didn't I do it from the beginning? Is this fucking up my light? I don't know. The light is bad today because I'm not at home. I'm cat sitting. And none of the cats want to be in frame. I tried. Oh, I tried. Is this making my light worse? It's making my life worse, that's for sure. I think it's better this way. I'm sorry. Don't call us, we'll call you. After this, it actually takes quite a while before we get some more singing. Sure, we have some humming here and there, but the next full-blown sung song happens half an hour into the film. And it just so happens to take place in the exact same setting as the opening of one of the most iconic musicals. Coincidence? Yes. Well, history, actually. Sinners delves a little bit into sharecropping, a post-slavery system that basically still kept black people trapped in a cycle. We see more of it later on in the film as well, when a lot of guests in the club are paying with wooden coins. The field call, as this type of song is called, was a remnant of slavery. So including this song in a film is a very powerful message, but yet again not something that would necessarily give Sinners the musical theater label. Although the next moment I want to highlight is technically not a sung song, I do still want to talk about it because for me, this is Sinner's first toe into the musical theater pond. When Delta Slim tells the devastating story of his friend being killed by the Klan, he gets so choked up that he starts humming. His emotions reach such a high that he can only process his feelings by expressing them through music. And I'm sorry, if that's not the most basic premise that birthed the entire musical theater medium, then I don't know what is. If you ask Google why characters start singing in musicals, it will tell you that characters sing to express heightened emotions or to convey information that is difficult or impossible to express through spoken dialogue alone. And we all know that the robots never lie. Alright, my ladies, strap in because this is it. We are going to talk about the scene. The sequence that solidified Sinners as an extraordinary piece of art. Sammy singing I Lie to You. In a way, this scene almost reverses our robots theory from earlier. Instead of emotion transitioning into song, by singing, Sammy now opens up a new realm of emotion. An energy so strong that it transcends time and space. Brilliant. A surrealistic visual like this feels very akin to the musical theater repertoire. Think of Act 2 opener of Book of Mormon, Making Things Up Again, where all of Elder Cunningham's favorite fictional characters come out to berate him for lying to the Ugandans. Or what about the endless amount of dream sequences in Golden Age musicals? I Lie to You perfectly fits in. The fact that this sequence also heavily features dance, another one of the 3 disciplines of musical theater, only further proves my point. Sinners at least walks the line between movie and musical. Sammy's powerful display of his passion for music pierces the veil between life and death and attracts 3 vampires to the juke joint. In an attempt to be invited in, they sing the song Pick Poor Robin Clean. At first glance, this use of song doesn't fall in the musical theater territory. But when you take the next couple of songs into consideration, like Will You Go, Lassie Go, Pale Pale Moon, and Rocky Road to Dublin, a pattern starts to appear. Every important plot point in Sinners is accompanied by a song. I'm just gonna let the cat out. Pick Poor Robin Clean is when our gang meets the vampires. Will You Go, Lassie Go leads into Mary being turned into a vampire. Perline's rendition of Pale Pale Moon becomes the cover-up to a gambling cheater being beaten, again with dance infused into it, and Mary turning Stack into a vampire. And Rocky Road to Dublin marks the vampires uniting. This isn't a coincidence. Coogler purposefully used the power of music to bring the intensity of these plot points to life. Perhaps the most perfect example of this trend is the reprise of Pick Poor Robin Clean, sung by the Vampire Collective in anticipation of Grace inviting them in. Building that tension till the dam finally bursts. And that device, the use of music to mark and convey the most important parts of a story, is reason enough for me to classify Sinners as a musical. A different kind of musical, I agree, but a musical nonetheless. Obviously, the characters in Sinners never burst out into song mid-scene like one would expect from a typical musical, but characters performing music in the narrative is actually a very common thing in musical theater as well. So common that they even gave it a name, Diegetic. When Troy and Gabriella sing Start of Something New at a karaoke, they are actually singing on stage in front of the ski resort guests. It's part of the story, it's diegetic. In contrast with a non-diegetic song like, say, Elphaba singing Defying Gravity, I don't think the guards of the Emerald City are like, yes, queen, you better riff like there's no tomorrow. Like, they don't experience her song. They're not aware that they are in a musical, if that makes sense. But so the argument that Sinners cannot be considered a musical because all the music is diegetic doesn't hold up at all. Where Sinners admittedly differs quite strongly from other musicals that use diegetic songs is the lyrics. Take Cabaret, for example. All of the songs are being performed in the Kit Kat Club, but are very clearly a comment on what is happening in the narrative. It is no coincidence that Money Money is being played after Sally meets Maximilian, a very wealthy baron. The lyrics of Sinners aren't that explicitly linked to the story. Or are they? We've already mentioned Sinners' most iconic sequence where Sammy sings, "I Lie to You." In a typical musical, you would expect this song to have lyrics that actually address this transcendental power of music. Something along the lines of like, the passion I feel running through my veins has the power to unite past and present, or whatever. And Sammy clearly doesn't sing that. But if we look at the lyrics, Sammy does open up about his deep love for blues music. It's so strong that he even lied to his father about it. So even though the lyrics don't explicitly address what this deep passion of Sammy for music can bring about, aka conjure up spirits from the past and future, Coogler shows us this through another language of musical theater: dance. So maybe Sinners isn't as on the nose as other diegetic musicals can be, but in essence it still does the same thing, using a combination of song and dance to tell a story. If you ask the robots what the definition of a musical is, it will tell you that musical theater is a form of theatrical performance that combines songs, spoken dialogue, acting and dance, okay? I don't really know what the difference is between spoken dialogue and acting, but anyway. The story and emotional content of a musical are communicated through words, music, movement, and technical aspects of the entertainment as an integrated whole. So I don't think I'm going on a limb here by saying that Sinners could qualify as a musical. But following that idea, would that mean that every film that has a character singing could be seen as a musical? Don't know if Pulp Fiction is exactly Broadway material just because Bruce Willis sings along to a song in his car, for example. Although Pulp Fiction the musical could be a vibe. To define whether or not something can be considered a musical is actually an incredibly hard task, as every story has its own unique blend of ingredients working together. And I don't think there's a set quota of song and dance that you need to achieve in order to qualify to be a musical. I think a deciding factor for me, at least, is the purpose of the use of song. Like, are the characters singing in a club because, you know, they moonlight as a country club singer? Or do these songs actually push the story forwards? As long as the music is integrated in the narrative, I would say something is a musical. That being said, we obviously all agree that Sinners didn't really remind us of the classics such as A Singing in the Rain or A Sound of Music, but I actually thought it didn't veer too far off of a biopic. The life of an artist gets told through some of his repertoire. This time it just happens to be a vampire horror. There's always some debate regarding whether or not biopics with music should be considered musicals, and I think yet again it really just depends on your own interpretation. And on the film, of course. Rocket Man with its theatrical fantasy sequences is no doubt a musical, I'd say. Bohemian Rhapsody, on the other hand, I can see both sides of the argument. I think the fact that Sinners could be considered a musical is actually a sign of its ingenuity. It's pushing the boundaries of what we have come to expect from both movies and musicals. Landing somewhere in the middle means that the art form is evolving, and that is extremely exciting because, let's be honest, cinema has been a little bit stale lately. Of course, us theater geeks are going to try to claim this triumph as one of ours, because, you know, we need to gain some street cred. But we're not plucking things out of thin air, you know. The way Sinners uses music and movement to convey a story is very similar to what a typical musical does. And if you're convinced that something cannot be considered a musical simply because characters don't burst out into song mid-scene, then I would invite you to dive into the vast ocean of musical theater because you've got some catching up to do, my friend. I'm dying to know you guys' thoughts. Did I miss something big that would automatically disqualify Sinners from the musical theater category? Or am I actually onto something here? Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you're into these type of musical theater videos, please have a look at my channel. Maybe even give me a little subscribe. And hopefully I'll see you soon. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye! These cats. They're like, shut the fuck up, bitch.